Let me know when we're ready, Mike.
You're live.
Okay, I'd like to call this meeting of Chalfont Borough Council to order. I'd like to find my agenda with all the fun I've had with audio. And Mayor Wallace, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Sorry. I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mayor Wallace. Sean, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, Brian Wallace.
Here.
Tracy Bowen. Jeff Coddington.
Present.
John Engel.
Here.
Mark Glidden.
Here.
Marilyn Jacobson.
Here.
Mike Kelly.
Here.
Mitch Meyerson.
Present.
Gia Walia. Michael McGinnis. Pat DeGangi.
Here.
And Rich O'Brien. Okay.
Was Rich O'Brien here, Sean?
He is not.
Okay. An announcement, this meeting is being recorded, obviously broadcast on YouTube as well. A new agenda was sent out to councilors this morning. The change on that agenda was the addition of action item number 6, hiring of a new assistant to the manager/secretary, which will be covered under action items. Beyond that, I am not aware of any additions, changes, or deletions. Sean, do we have any public comment?
No.
None. Okay, that brings us to the consent agenda. Would anybody care to make a motion to dispense with reading of the minutes from September 14th, 2020 council meeting with disbursements from the general fund of $193,673.47 for the month of August, with the financial report to be filed for audit?
So moved. Mr. President,
Yes.
I'd like to make a comment with regard to getting my comments read into the agenda.
Yes.
From our last meeting. A resolution brought up by Councilman Meyerson, where we unanimously voted to put the COVID-related web links up on the website. There's a Facebook posting that alludes to or insinuates that it was due to false and conflicting information coming from the White House. I did not vote for that. I was very clear on that. I voted for doing it as a matter of public service. I'd like that read into the record.
It just was. I mean, I think what you've said is now a part of the meeting. And I'm wondering how that was covered in the minutes, just to be complete.
Mr. President, if I could add a comment to Councilman Coddington.
Yes, Mr.
It was specifically outlined that this would not be a politicized report, but a public service report. And when I saw the posting that Councilman Coddington was referring to, it was very much a political report.
Okay.
This report you're discussing, though, was not sent out by the borough. Correct?
That's correct, Sean. It was a comment that was made on a private page.
Thank you.
That was publicly available.
Understood.
Without, I don't know if but before there is, in the minutes of the September 14th meeting, I don't know what it was, the minutes under business, a motion to post link through the borough website.
I can't hear John. I don't know what he's saying.
John, you're breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, that's not a surprise. It's been that kind of a night on the computer. Bear with me 1 minute. I'm gonna turn off the audio and call in to go to meeting and see if my phone works better than the computer. Is
I
that all
think
right?
that'll probably be the best course of action.
Yes.
So everybody hang on. I hope I'll get there.
I'm a little confused about, I didn't see the post. Was that something that came from the CDC that we posted? Or, where did that come from?
What post are you referring to? We loaded onto our website the web links to the CDC,
Okay.
to Pennsylvania and Bucks County health departments, which are all very appropriate things to have on there. And as a matter of public service, that's what I thought we were voting on, and we were very distinct in terms of keeping it just to that matter. There's been a post that's gone out on Facebook that insinuates that it was due to false and misleading information coming from the White
Was
House.
this a private post or a post on a community page?
It's a private post. I'm just distancing myself from that.
Is something I wrote?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I don't remember. I write a lot of that stuff. You know my politics.
Well, yeah, that's the reason why I brought this up.
No, so it's a private post. It's a freedom of speech thing. So it's kind of an odd connection.
But
You're one of my Facebook friends, so you must see a lot of stuff that is anti-Trump.
so we don't have, I don't have an issue with that per se, but what I do have an issue with is that we agreed as a council that it would be a non-politicized post. And that, whether private or public, that's the way I took it. I would have never seconded that vote if I had thought that it was going to become a politicized post, regardless of my feelings about the president, which are not positive.
Like stuffing the envelope and start getting.
Well, that's how it goes. Hopefully this will all be over next year.
Fingers crossed.
Well, I think if you're commenting on anything that that the borough puts up, then you should recognize in your post that you are not speaking as a member of council.
Well, that's kind of a stretch. It's still, if the post is labeled with my name, not as Councilman Myerson. So it's kind of a given. You guys got the imagination going on. I just had the incredible shock. We just came from Giants and talking to the customer service woman who goes to us, oh my God, I just don't know what's going to happen after the election. There's going to be riots in Chalfont. And we're looking at it like, what are you talking about? And to be honest, I've been telling people I'm the leader of Antifa in Chalfont, and there's no such thing as Antifa.
Sounds like John's still struggling.
Yeah, well, this could be forever at this point. What I'm worried about is we just had signs stealing in the neighborhood. Someone stole all the Trump signs on the last two streets here. And of course, I figured they were going to blame me. It was pretty weird.
So, Mitch, that really wasn't my point. My point was that as a council, we've always been apolitical, and we've been able to do positive things for the citizens of Chalfont because we operated that way. And so to publicize something like that, I actually had a number of private constituents who sent, I didn't see the post, but it was sent to me through text messages through a number of people in the borough who said, is this what council represents? So my point is that we try to work as a group, and I would appreciate it if we make an agreement in a meeting that we're not going to politicize something, if we would stick to it. That's my only point.
Well, the problem is it's going to be on my own account. And I respect what you're saying, but on my own account, I am going to post freedom of speech like you have never seen before. And I understand, but there's no way, there's nothing you can tell me that's going to change that freedom of speech. And I think as someone who's got libertarian views and whatnot should see that.
Well,
Number one, let me interrupt.
Go ahead.
Let me interrupt. Number one, can everybody hear me now? I had to call in.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, fine.
we should get back on track.
well, we should get back on track, but since we've gone down this path, I'm going to say this is not going to go well. I will tell you that I have had 3 specific complaints centered on the fact that one council member identifies himself as a member of council, and therefore the people are kind of conflating 2 facts and turning them into one. And so the nature of the complaints I got was not the content on the website. And frankly, Mitch, I'm talking about your Facebook page, but on your opening page or whatever it's called, your profile page, you do list, and it is factually true, that you are a member of the Chalfont Borough Council. But I'm afraid that some people, and I know at least 3 that have spoken to me directly, have said that they think that the page should be divorced from Chalfont Borough, and the fact that you're listing yourself as a council member, that they then think you're speaking as a council member, not as a private person. And I think that is where part of this confusion comes from. And I will tell you point blank, under freedom of speech, both of those things are true, neither one of which do we have control over. But I will tell you, my opinion is that is where this is coming from.
Well, I don't know, I got elected for like what's going on for the next 3 years and never said I was running again. So to me, I'm going to stick 100% with freedom of speech. And I am what I am. I'm also a business owner too, posted there. And I'm risking my business too. But I don't have a qualm with that. So be it as it may.
Well, just understand where I'm
You
coming
should
from.
recognize yourself that your comments are not that of Borough Council.
Well, people are going to construe whatever they want. I'm not going to have any control over that.
Well, you should
That's the
clarify.
right thing to do, is recognize that your comments are not that of Borough Council.
Well, I hate to tell you, I don't even remember the post, so.
That's part
Mr.
of-
President,
Yes, Marilyn.
I'd like for us to get back to the meeting. We only have a motion on the floor to approve the consent items. And so I would first of all like to second that motion. And then to Jeff's comments, our Borough Council minutes say under new business that Mitch Meyerson made a motion to post links relative to COVID-19 on the borough website. The motion was seconded by Mark Glidden and passed unanimously 7-0. So that's what we're approving in the minutes.
Agreed. Totally agree.
Okay,
So
so
it's just-
Jeff, I'm not sure where Jeff's comments fit in all this, but that's actually the motion that is now on the table. And as council members, I think we should be acting towards the motion.
I totally agree. And so we have a motion and a second for the consent agenda. We verified that the minutes are factually correct under new business. Therefore, if there's no further comment, I see or hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Was that you, Jeff? The nay vote? Okay, just for the minutes.
Yes.
The motion carries 6-1. Did anybody else vote nay, just for the record? No, okay. We have no special items, and we will start with the mayor's report under council committee reports. Mayor Wallace.
Just a couple of small things. I don't think I mentioned this at our last meeting, but I received a couple of complaints about a sign at the Hop Inn. It was a neon scrolling readable sign. It was pretty bright and obnoxious, I think, maybe that people were concerned about. So I did pass that on to the manager, and I believe Sean took care of that. The sign is down. Secondly, I also had a conversation with the manager today about people riding their horses in Twin Streams Park, which is fine. I personally don't have any problem with that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, as long as they clean up after their horses, which they do not. So I asked Sean to, there's a couple of properties up on the hill off of Line Kiln Pike that have horse stables, and they come down the hill and walk their horses to Twin Streams Park. And Sean has said that he will send a letter to those properties, letting them know that they're welcome to do that, but we expect them to clean up after their
Mayor Wallace,
Mayor? Yes.
before you go, are the horses on the macadam or are they on the turf?
I think both probably. I've seen them back there a couple times, not a lot, but I can look out my back window and I can see people walking in the field. So I'm not sure always if they're on the macadam or on the path, but I've seen them ride on both.
The reason I ask is, and I do not know the answer, is it possible that horses on the asphalt are going to hurt the trail?
You know,
do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any visible markings in the path. From what I can see, you know, no horseshoe markings or anything like that. You can't tell they're there other than what they leave behind. I don't think it's much to ask for them to get off their horse and shovel it into the woods or into the field where people aren't walking on it or troubled by it.
Hey, Mr. President, can I add something here?
Yes.
To your point, we've had this come up before, and you know, I don't know that it will really hurt the macadam, but if we're asking them to clean up after their horses, we might want to also ask them to not ride them on the macadam, just in case. You know, that's not, you know, a very thick surface like a roadway would be, and it wasn't meant for, you know, horseback riding. So, you know, to try and preserve it and not damage it. If we're asking them to clean up the horse poop, then you might as well ask them to stay off the macadam.
Very good. Okay. I see Mr. Meyerson has his hand up.
Does this constitute a danger to pedestrians for horses and people walking their dogs on the same path? Is that a problem? Also, I got to tell you, my good friend is a equestrian, and it's not the easiest thing to stop and get off your horse, tie the horse up, then scoop it up. It's kind of a stretch, so I'm kind of thinking maybe horses shouldn't be on that.
I think before we go too far, we need to find out what we can and cannot regulate. And I'm going to suggest that we ask Sean, possibly with Pat DeGangi, with the help of the engineer, maybe Rich O'Brien from a zoning or code enforcement point of view, and possibly our solicitor, to try to figure out what we can and cannot do before we decide the way we want to go with this.
I believe we already can enforce it. Technically it's not allowed, but we've never had a complaint about it until now. I don't believe they do it very often, but I'm not here. You know, they do it usually on off-peak hours when you don't have many people in the parks, but I believe we can already enforce that they can't be back there. You know, because they haven't really caused a problem other than what Mr. Wallace is just talking about. If they're willing to clean that up, we were just kind of looking the other way, but we could pursue it in any way we wanted to.
Yeah, the times that I've seen them there earlier in the mornings, usually on weekends and stuff, and it's nice. They're very peaceful. They're not galloping by any means, but you're right. I mean, I bring my little bags when I come with our dog, so at least we could ask them to kind of clean up after them. I don't think that's a big ask.
Well, it's not very practical to clean up after a horse, I gotta tell you.
They don't have to clean it up. They can just scoop it off to the side. You know, that's not a big deal, but they shouldn't be riding on anybody else's property and letting their horse go without taking care of it. You know, it's rude. It's obnoxious. It's rude. I mean, there's lots of words I can use for it. I don't have a problem with them riding back there at all. It's kind of nice. I'm glad they do it, but they should clean up just like everybody else. I'm like Mike. I carry 2 bags with me when my dog goes back there, and I clean up after my dog.
But if you're saying
that goes there should do that.
I don't think.
If you're saying scoop it to the side, why aren't the dog owners saying, well, then let me scoop it to the side? Doesn't seem
They can
equitable.
do that too. You know, it's not in the trail. Nobody sees it. But when you're walking your dog and your dog's in the trail, I clean up after my dog. If the dog goes off into the field, I don't chase after the dog, but which doesn't really happen. But you should clean after any animal you take back there. So that's my report. Horseman.
Thank you. Did you want to follow up the Animal Act with the Central Bucks Regional Commission report, please?
I don't have a lot to go over that, other than that we are meeting with the building committee on Wednesday, I believe it is, at 2:00. And then the finance committee on Friday at 6:00. I think it's Friday.
Thursday, I believe.
Thursday, I think you're right. Thursday. And I don't have anything new to report other than that. Marilyn, do you have anything to add?
No, nothing more than that.
That's my report. Oh, I should say that we did have full accommodations for a number of our officers who I don't have them in front of me. We did talk about them at the police commission, and they were pretty impressive people that have applied their ability to calm a situation down, use their training to keep things from getting out of hand, and work towards a peaceful solution to some interactions with the community. We had a woman who was obviously distraught and in having mental distress, and Officer Avalar calmed her down and took care of her. She ran into the street, and he got her out of the street. And so there are a couple of incidents like that that we did provide accommodations for. I don't know if Captain Milligan wants to add to that, but it was pretty impressive, and we're proud of our officers and the way they handled things.
I'm not hearing anything. Is that it, Mayor Wallace?
Yes, that's all I have.
Okay. Marilyn Jacobson, the Public Works report.
Yes, the reports in the packet. We have a couple of items this evening for like the salt bid on the agenda. So that's all I have right now.
Thank you. Facilities, Mr. Coddington.
Yes, been working with Sean. We've come up with a possible solution with regard to the council chambers. We looked at doing 5 plexiglass dividers, which would divide all 5 microphones, which would give us the ability to do anything. And we'd have to put some people in the audience, but it would give us the ability to come back in. The cost of that would be $1,500. The $1,500 doesn't require a resolution. We can instruct John or Sean to go purchase those and install them if that's what we choose to do. So it's $1,500. We would divide every microphone with a divider, giving space for 6 people because you can be on either side. The rest would have to be placed either strategically or call in, strategically around the Borough Hall or call in. So, Sean, I don't know what the lead time on that was. That's the only thing we didn't discuss. Would it be available for November, December meetings? I'm not sure.
The earliest we'd have them would be December at this rate. And it changes daily. The plexiglass is a little bit of a hot commodity still.
Oh, yeah. So I put that on the table to be considered.
It's the one that was not filled out. It gets
Like I said,
rejected. The scan doesn't get,
I'm sorry, somebody asking me something?
that's why I laugh when they say, you know,
Hey, Mitch, we're getting some background noise on you there.
I do have a question, a comment on Jeff, but I'm waiting for him to finish.
Okay, I heard somebody speaking. You can go, Mitch.
one comes in.
Oh,
it's-
I'm gonna have to close out the door. Yeah, so I just wanted to be noted on the minutes, that I made a comment to Sean, the manager, that I'm not being included in the facility, process in this committee. I haven't been let into any of the discussion on the plexiglass or anything else. I haven't been included, so I spoke to Sean about it, and I was hoping that I would be included and caught up on what's going on in this committee. Thank you.
I did tell you that I, would make sure you were included in any future communication, but we haven't had any since you called me the other day, or since we talked the other day.
Right.
But all we've really done is get, Jeff can speak to it. All we've really done is I've put together, Jeff asked me to get pricing and I did that. That's really the only conversation we've had at this point.
Mitch, as chair, that's on me, and I'll include you on all future correspondence. That's my fault. All right?
I have one comment about the dividers. It's not an objection, but if we can accommodate, I guess you said 6 people separated by plexiglass, Mr. Coddington, is that correct?
Right, there would
the bench?
Yeah, every microphone will be divided, then you would have one on the end. You would have the even number on the end.
Okay, because normally we have full house would be 7 counselors, the mayor, the solicitor, secretary, and zoning officer, and the engineer. So we're up to 10 people. And my only concern, the concern I will voice is that if we have 6 spots, 10 people, and we're putting 4, if we have full attendance and put 4 people in the audience, the public becomes a wild card. How we keep them socially distanced.
We could also have the 4 call in. If there's council members that aren't comfortable coming in due to whatever the circumstances are at the time, as long as we have 4 in the building, we are covered that way. And then anybody else that would want to call in from there would be given the ability to do so. So from a council standpoint, we could easily cover this. I understand what you're saying with regard to additional participants in terms of the mayor, Pat, Rich, Sean, Captain Mulligan, or anybody from the police department that would attend, and Mike McGinnis. So, it's a workaround. It's the best possibility with the size of that room we could work out. Is what I'm saying. It's that, or we continue to do this until such time that we can all sit right next to each other. If we just did the 6 people at the table, that would afford, we could take chairs out and make sure that they're spaced properly. We could have a small audience if the public wanted to attend. I think we all know what our attendance is, but still we have to accommodate that. I think getting back to some kind of something that represents normalcy is probably in our best interest. But I understand people's concerns too at the same time. So, that's where we are with this, the current structure. The way the building's set up, the way the council room is, the borough hall is set up. There's not much we can do with it more than what I just mentioned. And then it just stays virtual if we can't accommodate that.
Could we start meeting at like UNAMI in a larger room?
I sincerely doubt they'd let us in, given what they need to do for sanitation. It's hard, they're barely getting people in there at all.
Yeah, I don't think they're letting any outside groups use any of their facilities currently.
Any other facility that we can, in a much larger spread out room that anyone knows of?
Nostalgia.
John Mark's got a question.
Yes, Mark, go ahead.
Before we make any decision, Mr. President, I think it's imperative that we look at the financial costs, to have something like a $1,500 charge to be able to put up panels for essentially, on average, probably 1.1 community members who attend our meetings on a monthly basis. Seems a bit ridiculous and quite frankly, not very good. We would not be a very good steward of taxpayer money if we were to do that.
Well, the use goes beyond council. So planning or anybody that wanted to use that room would have the ability to do so. In addition to our monthly meeting.
I understand. And I've actually been part of all of those committees and rarely had more than 1.1 visitors on a monthly basis. So, I'm happy to entertain anything, but I'd like to actually see real numbers on who attends those meetings before we make a determination that we're going to expend those funds.
Is the hall being rented out to anyone at this point?
No.
And there you go.
Carolyn.
My concern is that it's indoors and the effectiveness of plexiglass has not really been proven by the CDC. And the concern of a closed room past 15 minutes is still very much in question. So I certainly will not be attending plexiglass or no plexiglass, but I'm concerned that we're spending this money not proving that not knowing that it actually will work and be effective, which is extremely important. And we're putting our staff at risk when we've been so careful.
I would agree with that comment, and also it's not just the staff; it's also the council members and any public who would be attending that meeting.
Aren't masks and face shields more effective than the plexiglass, or is that not proven yet either?
There are no proofs for anything at this point, and quite frankly. Masks, we can't require that the public wear masks to attend a meeting.
No. Well, if Home Depot you have to have a mask to go to Home Depot. We can't do that?
Private enterprise versus public meeting.
And then to my own point is there's different types of masks. There's N95s and then there's El Cheapo throwaway masks that don't do much.
Mitch, who's gonna control this and actually make sure that it happens?
Yeah, no, that'd be a problem. No, that's going to be a problem as well.
Yeah, agreed.
An N95 mask, in order to be proved effective, requires fit testing, and because it has an exhalation valve, does not provide protection to another person. It actually provides protection to the person breathing it. For instance,
valve.
The other comment that I would make now, I just realized my computer mic has not been working for the first 35 minutes. So like our president, I've now called into the meeting. In case anyone confused why my mouth was moving on multiple occasions with no words coming out. Just to discuss what Councilman Coddington was mentioning without taking a position, obviously, on the benefits or detriment of installing any plexiglass. So long as the legislation and the executive order remains in place until that's overturned, it's still not the case that council does not need 4 members present like they ordinarily would for quorum. So it is possible to create a different layout and still have 4 council members participating remotely if that was something that would provide a benefit for other, whether it's Pat, myself, Rich, the mayor, etc., being physically present. We still have the authority to conduct a meeting with a combination of members physically present and participating remotely until the order is rescinded by the governor. So I just wanted to state that we're not restricted to requiring 4 members if we move forward with this option.
I've heard a number of disparate, actually, of pro and con views on this, and my personal opinion is that I'm wondering if we aren't more effective on Zoom, where people can see us on YouTube and we can all see each other, unless you have problems like I had earlier today. But for the most part, the opportunity is there, I think, for a more interactive meeting than having several people on the phone. I think the idea of dividers being looked at and how to handle it would be good for contingency planning if we get to the point where we have to have a physical forum.
And that's what the plan was. I would say at this point, let's table this conversation. It could go on forever about masks and plexiglass. It's not something we're going to decide right now, obviously. We're still under some regulations that we can still meet this way. So let's just stay this way. You know what you have. We know what the option is. It's really only one option with the way that room's laid out. We can circle back to this at a time that makes sense. It doesn't appear to make sense right now. So I'd say let's move on and get this meeting moving past facilities.
I agree, except I shouldn't say except. Mr. Myerson, your hand is up. Yes, sir.
Well, and an aside to your point, John, my question is, and the difficulties we're having tonight and other nights, what are we on, Zoom or GoToMeeting right now? I forget. Well, whatever we're on, so we'll go to meeting. Sean, can we check out, is this the best and most trusting way, technical way to do this? Or is Zoom better or whatnot? Can we just double check that we're using the best online tool? That's all I want to say.
I think it really depends on everyone's individual internet speed is what we're seeing. GoToMeeting has been by far one of the most secure, and that's why we didn't go with Zoom initially. Zoom has gotten a lot better from what it was, 4 or 5 months ago, but GoToMeeting is, I haven't heard any horror stories from GoToMeeting. And we don't directly let the public into the GoToMeeting, which makes it even more secure. And I think Mike Kelly has done a great job as far as getting it so that it streams onto YouTube. And it's very clear. If you go on YouTube, you can watch the meeting at any time afterwards.
And we have not done a analysis in the last couple months, but we did do some research our office in April when we were trying to figure out a way to move forward. And it seemed to be the consensus that from a security standpoint for a borough council meeting, that GoToMeeting would probably be preferable to Zoom, despite the fact that many municipalities are utilizing Zoom.
Okay, so then to the point, do you have any consultant look into John's internet connection? Is someone could advise him if there needs to be improvement along with everyone else? Should everyone, if the problem is only on the user end, should we look into everyone getting the best user end? That's the point.
I don't like the fact that I'm opposite. That's what I like to. Other than that, I'm okay with GoToMeeting.
Okay. Are we complete on the facilities report, Mr. Coddington?
Yes, we are.
And I'm going to move to utilities, Mr. Meyerson.
Due to COVID, we have nothing to add.
Okay. As far as the finance committee, we have not met since our last meeting. We expect to meet late this month or early November because before our next regular borough council meeting on the second Monday of November, to be able to provide a budget for council's perusal, hopefully advertising in after that meeting, if all goes smoothly, with and then an acceptance of it planned or to be discussed at least for the second reading and adoption if it happens in the regular December meeting. The reason we haven't met is we don't have the final insurance numbers, and we are effectively now probably within days of having the final police numbers because they too are waiting on several items. Marilyn Jacobson.
Yes, normally we do have a budget meeting that's kind of open to the public prior to our November meeting, because we really want to have the first reading approved in November. So because it takes 2 meetings to approve it. So I would just want to make sure that we're on track, or we'll be meeting for Thanksgiving, just so we have time. So
we do have, well, to that point, we do have the fourth Tuesday meeting both in November and December. If we need it, we certainly hope to avoid needing them.
Right. That's normally a bad time of year to do that. So, but is it possible that council members can get a pre-read on the budget that's going before the budget committee? We normally do. At least Public Works is, I know I've attended meetings and have had a preliminary budget just to look at.
Yes, I mean, I do anticipate the next finance committee meeting to be advertised.
Okay.
We have to work out the details of how that it's probably going to be a, go to meeting. It won't be in person, but I do anticipate, putting it out there. John and I had just talked about it earlier today as far as when we were going to try to schedule it. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Has Gia joined us? No.
Yes.
There's no junior council. I'm sorry.
Actually.
She's there.
Here she is.
Okay, I'm sorry. Again, because of computer problems, switching computers, I can only see a few people. Gia, do you have anything to report?
No.
Okay. That is fine and totally understandable. We are living through very interesting, unprecedented times.
Are you in hybrid classes, Gia?
No, I'm an all online.
Okay.
And we will move to the staff reports. The manager's report. Sean Curran, sir.
Yes, the one thing I have for you is the DART bus added an extra stop at University Village. So they've put out a new schedule, and they have a meeting for the DART committee on Zoom in November. So I'll be attending that to see what the latest and greatest is. They said that their ridership it's been low, which is, I mean, the DART West just opened right before COVID kind of hit, and it's been low ridership, but they said they have steady ridership. So it's at least, has some ridership. So it's going in the right direction. They seem positive about it.
That's good.
Do they stop if you flag them down? Sean, do they stop if you flag them down?
You can flag them down. If it's a safe spot, they'll stop anywhere. But they have regular stops that they try to, they always stop at.
Sean, when you attend that meeting, one of the questions I've had on using it, because if we were to try to go into Doylestown, we have to transfer at Del Val. Do they have can you find out and let us know if they have a published schedule, especially for the Del Val stop, or if it's just as it works out?
Yes, I can pass that along. I believe they do.
Okay.
As soon as we get it, we'll post the updated schedule on our website as soon as we get it.
And that's what I was going to hope you said. I was going to ask you. So good. Thank you, sir. Anything else, Sean?
No, that's it.
Pat DeGangi, engineers report.
Thank you, Mr. President. I believe everybody has a copy of my written report. If there's any questions you have, I'd be glad to try and answer. I have nothing to highlight or add, though.
Okay.
I have a
Thank you,
question.
sir.
John?
Yes, go ahead.
A question for Pat regarding a street engineering that I just noticed practically over the weekend. And I was on council at the time when this was approved. It's regarding Church Street at the, I think I got the name wrong, Chalfont School Meadows that they're building now. I don't know if I got the right name. So I noticed they put in this one car space turn lane at the end where Church hits 152. My question is, Pat, to be honest with you, that road doesn't seem like they're going to have all those people living on it now. Doesn't seem wide enough because, my work van, I think it's near impossible for someone to pass me with my van on that street. And I'm wondering what's going to happen when all those townhouses are filled up. Is that all the road improvements they got for that development? Is that right?
Yeah, what you're talking about there is they softened that radius on that curb there.
Yeah.
And open the throat of the road up onto Main Street. Yes, that was all the improvement that we were getting. We are going to, however, have Church Street overlaid as part of the project. But as far as road widening, it didn't warrant further road widening.
Okay.
That project also has entrance and exit on Hamilton Street. So it's accessed from two roads.
Pat, is that a PennDOT controlled intersection because it hits 152?
It is.
Depending what happens in the future, we may want to consider a no left turn out of Church, but I don't know what that entails with PennDOT involvement.
Well, we sort of went through a similar process over by OLCal, but we can make that happen. Yes.
Well, I don't know that we want to execute that plan, but we may want to be aware of it should we find out it would be a major improvement to public safety.
Sure. And to Mitch's question, the other thing that played into this is the building, the schoolhouse itself was preserved, and that was council wanted that. By preserving it though, you limited yourself to what you could do with that road. Any road widening would start encroaching into parking that would be associated with that building that was already existing and grandfathered in. So it wasn't like a clean site that we could just work with. We had to work with a fixed building, fixed parking, and do what we could do with that road. And this was the best that could be done.
Yeah, that all makes sense, and I do remember those discussions. This may be, I think people will tend to figure out that that's not a great road to turn out of, especially headed down 152 towards Butler. So I think we need to wait and see what happens, because I do remember the constraints you're talking about as we did this discussion. Marilyn, did you have a comment?
Well, Pat answered it, because the residents are mainly going to be exiting from Hamilton and not from Church, because that's where the parking is. So, but that is a difficult turn. It's hard even to turn right because of the sight distance with the church. I think we're going to have to look at that and see if we can make it easier for people to turn even right at that intersection. So that's all I have.
Thank you. And with that, anything else for Mr. DeGangi? I'm not getting any indication. So solicitor's report, Mike McGinnis.
My report is in the packet. The only additional item that I would very briefly update council on is it was originally anticipated that the second reading / hearing for the paper street would be on this agenda. Our planning commission did not have a quorum at the last meeting. So out of respect for the planning commission, we're going to wait until we get the commission feedback. It's anticipated that this will be on the November agenda. We sent letters out to all affected property owners. We did not receive any negative feedback. I don't think we've received any feedback at all. So I don't anticipate participation, but certainly individuals are welcome to voice their concerns if they have any at the next council meeting. And that is it. The rest of my report is in the packet.
Thank you, sir. Does this require a re-advertisement of the first reading?
Well, no, not of the first reading. So technically speaking, since this is, we sent out the advertisements, we advertised it for tonight when we got word that it wasn't going to be on tonight because of the planning commission. By stating it at the meeting, we are providing notice of it occurring at the next hearing. But I would assume council, based at least upon past actions, normally proceeds in a conservative manner by going, I would say, above and beyond historically of notifying property owners. So I have been operating off the assumption that council would probably prefer that we re-advertise again for the next council meeting, but I don't believe we would be under an obligation to do so.
I would not object to that. I mean, it's better to be overly correct than a little bit wrong.
Right.
So I think that's a good path. Does anybody have any objection to taking that path? That's the way we're going to go, Mike.
Very good.
Thank you, sir. Captain Milligan, anything to report from the police department?
Unless there's any questions, Mr. President, the report is in the pack.
Okay. And
I have a question. John? John?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Since we have the captain, I want to take the opportunity to ask him, so we're not going to have a chance before the election day. I've been in talking to the Board of Elections regarding our polling location in Chalfont Borough. And as it stands now, we don't have our traditional constable that stands there. They've had trouble contacting the fella. And so my question is, are you guys prepared? I'm sure you are, but have you gone over any situations regarding updating information on how to respond to any problems at the polls? I've been hearing promises of outside people coming to the polls. So I have a safety concern, and I have constituents that have safety concerns at the polls. Is there anything you can speak to on that regard? Thank you.
Absolutely. We are aware of that. We've been given specific direction and guidance from the district attorney's office in Bucks County as far as how we are to respond to certain issues. Obviously, as you're well aware, there are some issues we can respond to and other issues we can't deal with. But we are prepared for that on election day.
And it's Captain Milligan. My understanding is that in the absence of the constable, the judge of elections in the building could contact the police for assistance. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. Anybody there could contact us, but yes, specifically, yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Anything else for the captain? Public Works report, Sean.
It's in the packet.
Thank you, sir. The monthly reports for Chalfont EMS and Chalfont Fire Company are also in the packet, which brings us to the action items, of which there are 6. The first action item considers Resolution 2020-11 relative to awarding the 2021 salt bid to Morton Salt with a bid price of 47.75 cents, or $0.75 actually, per delivered ton. Mike McGinnis, do you have to add anything about that resolution before we ask for a motion?
No, I do not.
Okay, at this point, as a little bit of background, Sean, this was done through the Bucks County Consortium, I believe, and was the lowest bid received from the responsible bidder. Is that correct?
Yes.
And given that information, would anybody care to make a motion to approve Resolution 2020-11, awarding the 2020-2021 salt bid to Morton Salt with a bid price of $47.75 per delivered ton?
So moved.
Second.
I think I heard Tracy first on the second. That's a strange sentence. Anybody have any questions, comments relative to this motion?
I have a question about the motion. Sean, what was the price we paid for salt over the last 2 years?
Last year was $48.50, and I'd have to pull up the year before, but I believe it actually has gone down the last 2 years. It was higher than that.
That's all I needed. Thank you.
Yep, it's on a steady decline over the past couple of years.
No snow will do that.
Yes. Mr. President, at one time we were paying it in the $60 range. So this is really nice. It's a good number.
It is a good number. Anybody else have any comments, questions, discussion before a vote? It is a resolution, so we will do a voice vote. I'll start. Tracy Bowen.
Yes.
Yes. Jeff Coddington.
Yes.
I will also vote yes. Mark Glidden.
Yes.
Carolyn Jacobson.
Yes.
Mike Kelly.
Yes.
Mitch Meyerson.
Yes.
That resolution is approved, or the motion is approved, 7 ayes. Our next action item is Resolution 2020-12, a resolution of the Chalfont Borough Council authorizing the borough manager to submit and sign the application for traffic signal improvements to the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation. Sean or Pat or Mike, anything to add to this before I ask for a motion? I hear none.
Nothing on our end.
Very good. Would anybody?
So
did I
moved.
talk over someone? Yes, go ahead.
I'll make the motion. Marilyn Jacobson.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second. Give it to Tracy. It's Tracy's.
It was Tracy. Tracy won again, Jeff. Any comments, questions, or discussion on the motion authorizing the borough manager to sign the PennDOT? It is a resolution, so once again, a roll call vote. Tracy Bowen, how do you vote? Tracy? There was a yes? Okay. Jeff Coddington?
Yes.
I will vote yes. Mark Glidden?
Yes.
Alan Jacobson?
Yes.
Mike Kelly?
Yes.
Mitch Meyerson?
Yes.
That motion carries unanimously. Our next action item is consideration of the hiring of the new public works laborer, Ronald Root. Sean, do you want to introduce this item to us?
Well, I believe I've already talked to everybody about it. If anyone has any questions, I mean, Ron is a skilled laborer who lives in town and has worked locally for at least the last 15 years. If anyone has any questions, I'm free to answer. Mitch?
John?
Yes, Mitch.
So what the conversation I had with Sean, understanding what Ron's qualifications are, his skill set, he will bring a incredible benefit to the borough. I know this as a contractor. It's going to be a win-win for the borough. And you're going to be looking at some cost savings in terms of hiring outside repair help. So this is going to be a terrific benefit, and to have a good person in town joining us.
I couldn't agree more, and there's actually an opportunity to improve the skills of the rest of our public works people if Ron passes his knowledge on to them, and I know he's agreeable to doing that. So would anybody care to make a motion to approve the hiring of Ronald?
So moved.
Is there a second? Is there a second to Mitch's motion?
Mitch and I both and Tracy getting a second.
So one of us will second it.
Mitch, you made the motion, did you not?
Yeah, I guess so. I think I beat him by a millisecond.
Okay, who seconded it?
Mark.
I hope you got that, Sean, because I didn't.
Who's the second?
Tracy.
Mark Wood. Oh, wait. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I thought it was
All right,
Mark.
Mitch made the motion. Tracy seconded it.
Yeah,
All
we're
right.
all in support.
Tracy's on fire. Tracy's on fire here.
Okay. All those in favor, is there any discussion, question, or comment anymore? All those in favor say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? That motion carries unanimously. You guys got to stop this. The next would be appropriate to have a motion to appoint or reappoint Larry Nooch to the Chalfont New Britain Township Joint Sewage Authority Board as the Chalfont representative. Would anybody care to make that motion?
So moved.
I hate
Second.
to ask, is there a second?
There's a second. Jeff Coddington.
Jeff made it in under the wire. Anybody have
Sorry,
any
Tracy,
questions?
I'm watching your button.
Anybody? Don't do it. Does anybody have any question, comment, or discussion aside? I will make a comment that I would like to thank Larry for his service to Chalfont and his contributions to the Sewer Authority Board. Does anybody else have anything to add to this before I ask for a vote? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Action item number 5 concerns a hard certificate of appropriateness for 239 North Main Street. The motion would be to approve the COA for hard application 20-02 for installation of a temporary real estate sign. Rich O'Brien, I know you're on board. Do you have anything to say about this?
I don't think Rich.
No, Rich?
Oh. No, Rich, but Rich was part of the hard meeting, so
Right.
he supported it.
Would anybody care to make that motion, at least for the purpose of discussion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Suddenly they get microphone shy. Any questions, comments, or discussion about COA 20-02? I see none, I hear none. Therefore, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? That motion also carries unanimously. And our last action item, number 6, is the hiring of a new assistant to the manager/secretary, Dawn Tremmel. John, do you want to talk about this at all before I ask for a motion?
Again, I've already gone through and talked to everybody the end of last week. So if anyone has any questions beyond what we talked about, feel free. But I think Dawn's going to be a great fit here.
I know from my discussions with Sean that my opinion is she's bringing a fantastic skill set to us and will be an asset to the borough. Mr. Meyerson.
My question to Dawn is she good with computer savvy? I can build a kitchen from scratch, but when it comes to the computer, I often get lost. Is she someone I can come to straighten out my email for the borough on my phone? Is something like that possible?
Well, Dawn's welcome to answer if she'd like, but we can definitely put you in touch with the IT department, Brian, with Premier, and he can definitely walk you through anything you need to do as far as the email.
Would that cost the borough money, or would it be cheaper for Dawn? Like, I just want to know that Dawn is very computer savvy for the borough in modern times, basically is what I'm saying.
Sure. I can't speak to how savvy. She works with all the programs that we use, and she's skilled in what we need her to do. As far as actual IT work on different phones, I can't speak to whether, I don't, that's a little outside of the job description for sure. That'd be more of an IT end job.
Are we going to take any heat for stealing her from New Britain?
No, she came with a raving review. They are sorry to see her go, but they apparently had a conversation before I talked with Samantha Bryant, and Samantha said she's sorry to see her go, but she understands why she's doing it, and there's just a little bit more opportunity here.
Sounds good. Welcome, Dawn.
Not quite. Would anybody care to make a motion to approve Dawn Travel?
So moved.
Assistant to the manager.
So
Who
moved.
said that?
I got that one in, John.
You did, Mark. Is there a second?
I'll just add that I want to commend our borough manager because Dawn sounds like she's a terrific find for the borough. And Sean, I think you've done a great job of really surrounding yourself with professionals.
Thank you.
And I'll second the motion.
Any questions, comment, or discussion beyond those that have already been made?
I want to commend Sean for searching the entire planet far and wide to find a person. Good job.
Thank you.
And just so it gets into the official record, what will be the official start date if this motion is approved, Sean?
Wednesday, October 28th.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? In that case, a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? That motion also carries unanimously. Welcome. Welcome, Don.
Welcome,
Thank
Don.
you.
Mr. President,
Yes.
should we also appoint her as Borough Secretary as of October 28th? As the official position? I don't know what's the best way to do that.
I think council could either take care of that now, or it could be an agenda item at the beginning of the next meeting. I think either one is satisfactory.
Do you want to make a motion, Marilyn?
I'll make a motion to appoint Dawn Tremmell as Borough Secretary as of, should we make it November 1st? That's a Sunday. November 2nd?
Sure. Whatever you say is the motion.
November 2nd. We'll give her a day or two to get used to the office.
Well, let's get it in the record now. Dawn, you have no choice if we approve this. And I didn't get yelled at. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions, comments, or discussion?
I forgot to ask, I take it, Dawn, you live nearby? You're muted.
Muted.
Yes, she lives in New Britain Borough.
I live right in New Britain Borough.
Okay. We have a motion to appoint Dawn Tremmell Borough Secretary effective 11/22/2020. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? I'm sorry? Was anybody opposed? All right. No, okay. Is there any old business? I'm not aware of any. Any new business? Any correspondence, Sean?
No.
Any public comment received during the meeting?
No.
I hear somebody talking, but I can't understand the words.
That's you feeding back, John.
Okay. Okay. That figures. I'm my own problem. Announcements. The next meetings. Planning, Monday, October 26th, Borough Hall at 7 p.m. The Zoning Hearing Board, Wednesday, October 28th at 7 p.m. Where there will be a hearing on a possible use variance at 31 Oak Avenue. I was asked to announce. The Central Bucks Regional Police Commission meets Monday, October 23rd. That'll be a virtual meeting. ARB meets Monday, November 2nd at 7 p.m. And the next council meeting will be Monday, November 9th at 7 p.m. And I should say all of these meetings will be virtual. Also, we will get an announcement out and an advertisement out of when the Finance Committee will meet for the budget discussion prior to the November 9th Borough Council meeting. And every councillor will be copied or will be sent an email in addition to the public announcement. Is there any other business to come before the council?
John, what is the use variance for on 31 Oak Avenue? We know that?
So I spoke with Rich today. My understanding is this is what's being classified as a pet salon that is taking approximately 10,000 square feet. And I believe it would actually be permitted by right for there to be a kennel at the location. But since the pet salon or whatever the particular phraseology is actually a different classification, they need a use variance. And I don't know. I'm not going to speculate as to whether there be any opposition from residents. I just heard there's some in application.
You say 10,000 square feet?
I believe it was, and one of the variances they need the parking variance. One of the comments that Rich stated was, I believe 53 or 54 spaces would be required based on the use, but they're requesting a variance for 14 spaces. I think he said they actually have enough parking on site. This is just me speculating. I'm speculating the landlord is not interested in allocating those number of spaces given the use, with the idea being most clients would be showing up, dropping at the often rather than utilizing the parking spaces.
Are they taking over the gym space there?
I don't know the answer. I haven't seen the answer, all based on one conversation I had with Rich.
Yeah, I saw somebody working on that space. The gym went under, and I think I saw some construction going on that space in there. So.
That's a separate area where you see the construction going on. They're opening up 2 bay doors and making them wider.
Oh, okay. All right.
So that is not related to this request.
The other thing I note, apparently, I do not believe there's going to be associated, because I know, having represented some dog resorts, that's always a concern of residents or adjoining businesses, that if there's outdoor space, it's going to cause noise pollution. My understanding is that is not the case with this application, but there is an overnight boarding aspect to it.
So I'm just assuming that it's going to be in the interior of that building rather than the warehouse.
Yes, correct.
Mike, this requires notification of people within a certain distance. I would assume that notification is that also public, put up by signs, so any of the other tenants in the building would be able to see it?
Correct, yes.
And there'll be an advertisement in the newspaper of the zoning hearing board hearing, correct?
That's also correct, yes.
Okay. Anything else from council on anything? I see nothing. In that case, we will be adjourned at 8:21 this evening.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.